When a global music icon like A.R. Rahman speaks, you tend to listen. And recently, he made some really candid comments about the Hindi film industry, talking about what he sees as a deep, fundamental power shift. So, what did he actually say? Why is it such a big deal? And what does it tell us about the complicated dance between art and influence today? Let's get into it.
All right, let's start with what is probably his most powerful claim, a statement that really sent some ripples through the industry.
There it is. In an interview, he pinpointed the last 8 years as a time when decision-making in Bollywood just moved. It's shifted away from the creators, the artists, and into the hands of what he calls non-creative people, like corporate entities. And look, this isn't just him complaining about getting less work. He's describing a massive, seismic shift in the creative soul of the industry itself.
Now, to really understand the weight of these words, you have to get his unique journey. I mean, he wasn't always the Bollywood insider he is today. His career is this amazing story of crossing all kinds of cultural and linguistic barriers. So his first big hits like Roja and Dil Se were absolutely phenomenal, but a lot of them were actually dubbed from Tamil. He's even admitted he still felt like an outsider back then. The real turning point? That was 1999's Tall. That soundtrack, as he so perfectly put it, entered the kitchen of everybody's house. It just blended everything so well and became a true pan-Indian sensation. And his commitment went way beyond just composing. After the director of Tal, Subhash Ghai, gave him that advice, Rahman didn't just learn Hindi to keep his career going. Nope. He went a step further and learned Urdu, what he calls the mother of Hindi music, so he could really, truly connect with the soul of the melodies he was creating. Okay, so with all that history in mind, let's go back to his central claim. What does this power shift he's talking about actually look like on the ground? The change he's describing is pretty stark. In the early days, he felt the creative power was with the directors and composers. Now, he says that power is in the hands of non-creative people, think executives at music labels. And there's another layer. Where he once felt totally embraced as a South Indian composer, he now hears whispers of something else, a potential regional or even communal bias. He says he learns about these things indirectly, through rumors, or what he calls Chinese whispers. For example, he'll hear that he was booked for a film, only to find out later the music company just hired its own team of 5 composers instead. He even hints that there might be a communal thing also, but he's quick to point out that it's never said directly to his face. So, the big question is, how does a global icon like him navigate this new world, where he feels like he's kind of being sidelined? It's a fascinating question, isn't it? Do you fight for the work? Do you change your style to fit the new system? Or do you just forge a whole new path? Well, Rahman's response is really philosophical. He refuses to chase projects. He believes his sincerity will bring the right work to him. And if a film doesn't work out, he just calls it rest for me. But maybe most importantly, he actively stays away from what he calls films made with bad intentions. He just trusts that, in the end, he gets the projects he's meant to have. But this is where the line between an artist's intent and the real-world impact gets tricky. Let's look at 2 of his recent, huge projects, which seem to represent 2 totally different approaches to making art in these divided times. First, there's the historical film Chawa. In his own words, Rahman acknowledges the film was divisive. He even says it cashed on the divisiveness of it. But for him, he felt the core message was really about bravery and that it had an enjoyable finish. But here's the other side of that. A report in Dawn noted that the film was publicly called out by a chief minister in Maharashtra for having ignited people's anger. It was directly linked to real-world communal clashes and unrest in the city of Nagpur. And that raises a pretty serious question about where a film's influence actually ends. Rahman's defense is this powerful belief he has in the audience. He argues that people have an internal conscience and are smart enough to tell the difference between truth and manipulation. He just doesn't believe a movie can easily change someone's fundamental sense of right and wrong. Now, in stark contrast to all that, you have his other massive project, the mythological epic, Ramayana. And he talks about this one very differently, not as something divisive, but as a unifying gift from India to the whole world with such love. And you can really see that spirit of unity just by looking at the team. This project is this incredible interfaith collaboration. You have A.R. Rahman, a Muslim, and his collaborator Hans Zimmer, who's Jewish, composing music for one of the most sacred Hindu texts.
For Rahman, this is what it's all about, elevating art way beyond small-mindedness and selfishness. So, all of this, the power shifts, the choices an artist makes, the real-world impact, it all builds to one central, final question.
So is an artist like Rahman right to trust in the internal conscience of the audience? Or in today's world where media can amplify divisions so easily, does the creator actually have a greater burden for the messages their work sends out? It's a question with no easy answers, and it really leaves you thinking about the true power of art.